How do you merge two arts organizations into one fresh contemporary voice? This is Seeing ICA, From Vision to Visual Identity. Presented as part of San Diego Design Week, we'd like to welcome everybody to our conversation today. I'm John Ball, Principal and Creative Director of MiresBall, a San Diego-based brand design firm. And with me is Brent Foster-Jones, a strategy and public relations consultant. Brent, thanks for joining us.
Hi, everybody. It's great to be here and be a part of San Diego Design Week. My name is Brent Jones. And John, this is a new chapter in the cultural life of San Diego. Lux Art Institute and the San Diego Art Institute have now merged. There's a new Institute of Contemporary Art. San Diego has its first ICA, and this is a brand new organization that's dedicated to experimental art and learning. We officially open our doors on September 24th. Our inaugural season as the ICA has begun in Encinitas at what we're calling ICA North, with a presentation of work by Christine Howard Sandoval. But before we get into all of that, John, you've got a wonderful and long history in San Diego and a history with Lux. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, thanks, Brent. Lux was founded in 1998 by Reese Shaw with support from local arts philanthropist Ramona Som. The location in Encinitas was at that time just a kind of a vacant, empty hillside, just full of scrub and native plants. And we worked together for those early years, lots of fundraising and sort of awareness building, all of that coming together with the opening of the Artist Pavilion in 2005, and a Grand Orchid winning building designed by Renzo Cichetto. And with the opening of the Artist Pavilion, that really launched a series of residencies that is now over 50 different artists that have come and lived and worked at Lux. A wide variety of genres and artists working in all mediums, and just a really interesting story of so many different kinds of work being produced there. And over that time, since the opening, we've worked continually for many years, kind of on the branding and communications side of things, really showcasing the work and all the great things happening there at Lux, which certainly around the artists, but also around events and education and classes and some very popular summer camps for kids, and just really kind of keeping a very vibrant personality to Lux. One of the hidden gems in San Diego, in my opinion. I've known about San Diego Art Institute for so many years, kind of being in Balboa Park, but never really got that familiar with what was going on there. Can you tell me a little bit about what's happening there and sort of the background there?
Well, John, the San Diego Art Institute is 80 years old this year. It was actually founded as the San Diego Businessmen's Art Club in Balboa Park in 1941. More recently, it's the only cultural institution dedicated entirely to experimental contemporary art in the park. People watching may have gone this summer to see ST Practice that was co-presented with Bread and Salt. It was nearly 100 artworks acquired recently by the city of San Diego. This is work shown in previous exhibitions and years.
They've had some really interesting work there. I think the organization, as I understand it, has evolved a lot over the years and has gone through several different phases. But I think, I believe always, having this idea of inviting people in and making art kind of attainable and relevant to people. Well, let's get to now ICA, the Institute of Contemporary Art, San Diego. And so the merging of those two organizations, what does that mean, Brent? What does this new vision, hold in store for us?
Well, the ICA is the ambitious invention of this merger between the two organizations. And Andrew is the ICA's fearless leader. I mean, Andrew was a curator and a museum executive. He understood that the organization shared very longstanding commitments to regional and international contemporary art and artist education, community engagement. Andrew is also bilingual. He previously lived and curated exhibits in Latin America, and he shared with the combined board a desire to create a very adventurous, warm, welcoming, living laboratory, a platform for contemporary art and artists that's accessible to everyone and that's representative of the San Diego Baja region's multicultural population. There's such a rich history and current culture of art and activism in the Latinx community, and we want to certainly take advantage of the dynamic energy at the San Diego-Tijuana border. We want to take advantage of that and be a showcase and a platform for that. And in that sense, the ICA is proudly binational. ICAs historically in the United States have shared with their publics new art, new artists, new ideas. The first ICA in the United States was created in Boston in 1936. Their idea was a laboratory open to the public where very innovative approaches to art could be championed. And today there's more than a dozen ICAs in the United States that identify new artists. They encourage appreciation of contemporary culture, and particularly in California, Andrew and his board and staff very much want to bring the public in. This is a place where we can gather together, where people can ask questions. We talk about this idea of questioning literally everything. And of course, when you think about what we have been through over the last year and a half, I think so many people are feeling as if every assumption should be challenged. Everything might be questioned.
So why don't we talk about how do we express this vision, and how do we put a face on ICA?
John, it's just been so fun and fast and adventurous working with you and your team at MiresBall. And I'm just thinking back on the last few months, and the design brief was very dynamic in the sense that while the ICA aspires to be a place that is inviting and welcoming, it's also a place where one's ideas could be challenged. It's thought-provoking. There's a kind of edginess or riskiness when you walk into one of the exhibitions or installations or on either campus. How did you think about this as a design challenge? You've just done it so beautifully.
It's a really ambitious vision that the ICA has, and in a sense, it's twofold. We've got some very strong ethos to, like you said, question everything, and really kind of challenge ourselves and challenge our audience. At the same time, Andrew and the board have put out some very strong, kind of more pragmatic goals to be recognized and seen as relevant by the audience. In fact, they've put forward a 5-year goal to be recognized by 1 in 50 people in San Diego County, and to be also seen as by those who know us, to be seen as edgy and fresh by 7 out of 10 who know us. You might say those two goals are working against each other. On one hand, recognition is the product of repetition and consistency and kind of doing the same thing over and over again. And that, in a sense, works against being seen as edgy and fresh and always changing and dynamic. So as we got into working on this, those two goals are really kind of top of mind. And again, how do we find a balance between those two? Clearly, if we leaned in any one direction or the other, we wouldn't achieve all of the goals that we have here. And so a really interesting challenge before us.
And John, so what was the process to convey this visually and dimensionally? You're not just talking about print or graphic design. You're also talking about things like wayfinding and signage.
You've always got to start somewhere, and so sometimes when you've got kind of lots of objectives and lots of challenges ahead, you've just got to start and do something. And so we started in sort of the place, kind of picking up where the two organizations left off, in a sense. And so two organizations that both in some ways referenced, kind of a square as part of their identity at different times. And so it made sense to take that square and bring it forward to the new ICA. But we didn't want to just sort of stay within that square. And so we looked at how can the type extend out of the square? How can we break out of the box, literally? And that, required us to have a very certain way of doing the typography. We needed the eye to be an eye with, serifs on it, essentially within a sans serif font, to sort of get that sort of extension on both sides of the box. But within that, we felt like that square motif could do a lot for us. It can certainly, frame visuals and frame artwork. We can sort of connect the squares together at the corners, and we can spread them all over the place. And it becomes almost like a confetti or a celebration with these squares in that bright and vibrant green. And so a really interesting and fun place to start. And this really kind of got us going on the project by looking at this first direction. And I think we felt like this really could really help us meet that goal of being recognized, the simplicity and the sort of the consistency of kind of that logo element. I think really could just be a very strong, visual that will help us achieve that goal of being seen and recognized by people. At the same time, again, that question everything, is kind of ringing in our heads and sort of echoing for us. And so if you question everything, then you might question, do we need a constant logo? Do we need a particular typeface? What if we change everything or change almost everything? What might that be? And so we kind of came to this idea that ICA could be anything. It could be any typeface. In fact, it could be any typeface that anybody wants to choose. And so a very kind of democratic idea around this, that, whoever's at the computer that day and wants to pick a typeface, it's all fair game. It's all in the cards. And the only kind of structure to this really is the consistent use of that kind of bright sky blue color. And so a really adventurous and challenging kind of way to look at this would be very dynamic and always changing. And so I think in here we sort of hit on that other side of the other objective of being, edgy and fresh and sort of always changing. And at the same time, though, I think we, the concern might be that we're not enough of a fixed object, that we create the recognition we want to. We didn't want to look like we're, some kind of a pop-up exhibition or something that isn't kind of a little bit more permanent.
John, as I look at these pictures with you, I'm remembering one of your design presentations, and that logo on the hat is so great. I mean, I'm a child of the 80s, and I remember that it just made me think about like Atari and Pac-Man.
Yeah. Well, that's the other really fun thing about this, is that typography can really communicate so much just in simple letter forms, and can take you in so many directions. And in a sense, that might have been, ultimately the challenge with this one is we didn't want to set up a system that caused you to overthink the choice too much. And I think because this was all about that choice of the font, I think we began to be concerned that thing where, you're putting so much weight on the font choice that it becomes a little bit, paralyzing in some way, or just gets a little bit bogged down in that. And so we really loved kind of the spirit and adventurousness of this, but we also, I think with the team, began to kind of question the the ultimate practicality of it. But even as we kind of kept going down the path here and looking at what this might be and what was the right answer for ICA, again, the question everything just continually popping up in our conversations. And so again, another question is like, do we even need a logo? Which kind of took us to this idea that, maybe no logo is the logo. And so here we really look at almost this like intentional placeholder where the logo might be, but it's not there. And so that actually becomes the logo. The absence of a logo becomes the logo. And again, a really probably thought-provoking idea that is kind of really interesting for those of us that kind of work in this field and in brand design. How might that play out? And I think we felt like there was still lots we could do there, and there was visual elements to really tie this together. But a very thought-provoking kind of idea that again really spoke to that question everything idea. Our concern here was that this almost might like start to steal the show too much, or we don't want to get in the way of the actual work and programming and content, but rather support it. And this almost had the potential to become such a thing, and so many questions like sort of layered into this that we didn't want it to actually take too much of the spotlight.
How did you get from that to this incredible place that you've landed? This whole notion, this whole idea of the sea that we're just all obsessed with right now.
Yeah.
We're all telling each other to meet you at the sea.
Yeah. It was really fun how this kind of came together. And again, answering lots of different objectives and sort of the desire to kind of reach out to the community and invite people into a conversation. And really it all kind of started with this kind of recognition that the C in ICA was all about seeing things. And in a sense, this ICA blank, and that really to me was the kind of the spirit of the organization, in that I can see almost anything here, or I might see anything here. And so that really beginning seed of an idea, and that just like kind of happy circumstance that the kind of C can have multiple interpretations or multiple meanings, kind of led us into this idea that we can use the C to again have this invitation to kind of see something different, or see a new world, to kind of see what you see.
These are wonderful, John.
And so just thinking about all that potential there got us really excited about the way we can use that C as both a logo, but also as a way to start a conversation. Got really interesting. And just like
these are really great. I think this is the first time that I've actually seen this this work by hand, this initial sketch.
Yeah. Well,
it's wonderful.
A little look behind the curtain, but most I think most really great design starts with an idea, and a lot of times that idea is like a scribble on a piece of paper. And in this case, it just like sort of like it just really spilled out. I mean, it just kind of with that one little starting point, it's just like there were just so many places that you could take this, and so many options. We can play with the C and do different C's, and it was so simple that you can just again draw it with a Sharpie. You can capture the idea right there, in a little drawing, and you can see all that it had, all the potential that it really had.
It's great to see all the iterations of it again, John. Each of these executions, and maybe you can talk about how they kind of work together like a family or a system, but I love how each of them has almost their own little nature or personality or character, and yet feel like siblings or cousins.
Yeah, once we got going on this, it really there were kind of these two paths, and I think that's what's kind of cool about this identity program is that there's a kind of a lot of tools in the toolbox, and they have a different use at different times, and so we have levers to move up and down depending on what we're doing. But I think this idea that you can use the C, in a statement, to create that dialogue with the audience. And yet, bring it back to ICA, connect ICA into that dialogue. But then at the same time, celebrating the C and really like that sort of changeable, responsive nature of the C, I think was the other side of what this could do. And in a sense, they reinforce each other because we're making the C, kind of the pivotal piece of this. And, so many layers to this too, when we got into it. I mean, just like C is the first letter in California, the first letter in community, the first letter in creativity. And so there were just so many things that made the C feel right to us and really special and something we want to hang our hats on. And so as we, kind of developed that then from that beginning idea, it was a matter of crafting the letters and making that C really special in the middle where we knew we had a lot we can do with that and making the C really stand out. Had a lot of fun creating different Cs and this is an ongoing, project too, but, many on our team, got involved and created different Cs and it just became a very fun thing to kind of do, what else can we do with the C? How else can we morph it or make it into something else? It really is an invitation too for almost anyone to kind of draw their C, and it's such a simple shape that many things can happen with it. And we even made a donut C. So I think this was probably happened in the morning, I'm going to guess. Again, an ongoing thing of just like you can never stop making Cs, but we've got a nice little set of them to start with and more to come. That question everything and just kind of dynamic and changing and always something new.
Well, I think what's so wonderful too is that there's really something for everyone. And, there's this whole notion now in contemporary art around curators and institutions deauthorizing themselves and opening up the canon and opening up the conversation that whatever you see in a particular work is what you see. And that says something about your own experience in the world. And that we won't tell you how to see this. Maybe we'll tell you a little bit about the artist and what might be on their minds, but that it's all open for interpretation. It's all open. It's all on the table.
We want to be so accessible and really be for everybody. And at the same time, we know that, not all people consider themselves to be, quote, art people. Not everybody sees themselves as an art person. And in some cases, museums can be seen by some as elite or sophisticated and kind of this thing that it's not for me. And so we really wanted to let this kind of just be very inviting and accessible and a little bit fluid and not stuffy, not hard to understand.
I love what you're saying, John, because I really do think that, and I speak for everyone at ICA, that MiresBall has really captured this sense of fun and dynamism and curiosity and just the inquisitive nature of the ICA. Again, this is a place to come together and have fun, to look at something and say, isn't that funny? Or contemplate something.
I mean, in a sense, we're not taking ourselves so seriously. We're just kind of letting it. Anybody can draw, see, and kind of interpret it their own way. We felt like we really kind of had this, and with this, and I think the challenge is now how do we work with all these tools in the toolkit? What's really great about it is that it's so flexible that the basic letter form and the basic logo can get really, really small and tiny and sort of step into the background and let the art take over and still give us the sort of identity that recognition, but we can, take a back seat. Or like you see, it can step forward and be really exuberant and exciting and fun and inviting. And so we have a lot of dials to turn, a lot of levers to move here to make it go up and down and sideways.
As you know, ICA is made up of 2 campuses. What are the design challenges in terms of identity, signage, wayfinding? How do you approach that?
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Yeah, great question. It really all comes together. We knew we would have that challenge from the beginning, but it really all comes together when you're looking at things like a website, and you're looking at presenting lots of activities and classes and programs and things, and you're looking at those are at one campus or the other, and they're probably about 30 minutes apart, depending on traffic. And more than anything, we don't want anybody to be confused and show up at the wrong place. And so we felt like the wayfinding aspect was really important. We developed kind of a 2-color system, and so a color that sort of coded each campus, and primarily for the website. That's where it all comes together. Once you're on campus at one or the other, you know where you are. You're where you want to be. And so at that point, you can just be in the ICA experience. But when you're in the website, and when you're in a place where we're talking about, activities at both campuses, we want to be real clear that there are 2 choices here. In fact, there's a third choice too, which is the ICA digital programs. And so there really are, in a sense, 3 locations. We're getting ready to open. Everything's about to happen. It's really exciting. Tell us what's ahead.
Well, the big opening across campuses is on September 24th. The centerpiece of the fall season is Gabriel Rico. We're inaugurating our Balboa Park Gallery with the first ever California solo show of Gabriel. He is a rock star in Mexico, a rising star internationally in the art world. He was born in 1980. He is celebrated, John, for a very inventive, experimental sculptural art practice, characterized by what he calls mixing very disparate objects. Some of them are natural, some of them are man-made, everything from shoes to CDs to television sets to taxidermied animals. The exhibition Unity and Variety is, in his mind, a fable. It's a vision. It's his riskiest exhibition to date, and he will transform what we are all calling ICA Central and Balboa Park with neon branches, rocks, shells, gems, glass, sand, augmented reality. This will be a journey into the illusion of a border between humanity and the natural world. You will literally, in the space, you'll literally descend, you'll walk into a layered environment of sculptures and installations, and through special and fun collaboration with the Nat, Gabriel is incorporating taxidermy from its collection into the ICA. And there'll also be a site-specific installation inside the Nat, embedded in their unshelved exhibition.
Yeah, I've seen his work, and really exciting, super fun work. And I think the collaboration with other organizations is also great. And so I'm really happy that that's all happening.
John, this is Christine Howard Sandoval's work. She was born in Anaheim, California in 1975. She's very inspired by historical etchings of California missions. For her, that she found in the Bancroft Library Archive at UC Berkeley. And for her, the archives embody, a settler's narrative of erasure, but also indigenous knowledge, indigenous language and culture, and a relationship to the land. And we're looking at adobe prints on drawing paper that she creates through the use of masking tape. So as she removes and collects the adobe covered tape, the archive naturally assumes the form of a mound. John, this is work by Marina Zurkow. She was born in 1962 in New York City. She's an interdisciplinary artist who explores humanity's metaphysical relationship with their surroundings. And Marina is going to construct an immersive underwater environment that meditates on waste, economy, technology, eco-politics, and the gallery will literally glow with screens as if they've been left on the ocean floor. This is work by Minerva Cuevas on view at ICA North from February 19th of next year. She was born in Mexico City in 1975. She's a conceptual artist whose work explores anthropology, product design, economics. She's going to create a site-specific mural installation that explores consumption and the socioeconomic impact that it has on the environment in different communities. We're looking at previous work of hers. Murals are her mediums. She often works in a poster-like format, and for her, posters, graphic posters, act as an access point to memory and to our own memories.
You know, it sounds like a great lineup. I hope everybody can come and visit one of the ICAs. Check out icasandiego.org for hours and details. Lots of really fun, interesting things to see in the months ahead. So I hope everyone listening can join us at some point at ICA San Diego. And in closing, I want to thank the folks at San Diego Design Week for their amazing work on putting this together this year and last year. It's a heroic effort and brings the community together in such a great way. And we're so glad to be a part of it and thrilled to contribute.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, John.
Brent, thank you for joining today. It's great talking to you, and look forward to seeing you at ICA San Diego.